In this video, we're going to discuss an arbitrage opportunity where you can basically make, I would say, between 20 to 40% APR risk-free. Yep, you heard it here first. But for starters, welcome to Crypto Saver. So this video in particular is a sequel to the video up here. And in that video, I did promise people that, hey, if you show that video some love, you give it a couple likes, I will make a video where I take that strategy and I show you how you can actually make guaranteed gains on the spread that exists between Luna and bLuna. Now, as a quick recap, let's quickly look on my computer so I can kind of explain what's going on here. Now, on Anchor, you can typically take your bLuna, which is a staked form of Luna, and you can unbond it. And if you opt to unbond it the slow way, the burn, it takes 21 to 24 days, but then you get a one-to-one conversion. Now, the reason why that matters is because you can take advantage of the fact that you can buy one Luna right now. You can then swap it, whether you swap it on Terra swap or on Astro. You can swap that one Luna for, let's say, for this example's purposes, you can swap that one Luna for 1.1 bLuna, and then you take that 1.1 bLuna, you slow burn it over the course of 24 days, and now after 24 days, you end up with 1.1 Luna. So in this example, you basically gained 10% more Luna. Now, granted, it's a big exaggeration. You're not going to find a spread of about 10%, obviously. But that's kind of the gist of it. But in that video, in that first video that I made, that was simply for people that are looking to buy the dip, right? Right now, we've been seeing, if I look at the chart, I mean, Luna's been dropping day after day now for at least a week. It's down to $63. And if you're buying the dip, there's no reason for you not to be buying Luna right now and swapping it for bLuna and just slow burning it. Even if you're just buying Luna for the sake of hodling it, it just makes sense. Why not end up with more Luna than you began with? Now, if we go back to my Excel that I, again, shared in that video, you can kind of quickly see what you would gain by doing so. But the thing is with that strategy is you cannot take advantage of the spread, meaning you can't pocket that money. Obviously, if you do the whole slow burn and you maybe gain, let's say, an extra 5%, okay, that's also unrealistic. Let's say you gain 2% of extra Luna. Well, if Luna drops in price, obviously, over the next 21 days, you still are at a loss, even though you're 2% points less at a loss. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to take that 2% and actually put it in your pocket while having no risk at all to volatility, price volatility. So for this, you're going to need two things here. You're going to need UST in your Terra wallet, and you will also need a similar amount of USDT in Kucoin. Now, if you haven't signed up to Kucoin yet, I'm going to have my affiliate link in the description. I would appreciate if you use that to sign up, but that is what we are going to be using to short Luna. Now, why do we want to short Luna? Well, we want to take advantage of this spread that exists, right? Usually it says between 1 to 3%, and we want to pocket that. And the only way to pocket that spread is if we somehow we're not long, we're not short, we're completely neutral on the price. So if we are long one Luna, we want to be short one Luna. That way, if Luna goes up a buck, we lose a buck on the short side, but we gain a buck on the long side. So we have no exposure to any directional movement that Luna might have. Instead, we're just going to sit on our butts. 24 days passes. Moment that burn is complete, that's profit for us. So I'm also going to give a quick little demonstration on Kucoin. Give me a second here for me to load this up. If you've never used Kucoin, it might be a little confusing at first. That's why I kind of want to do this. Now, when you do send over assets over to your Kucoin account, it will go into your main account. Once it's in your main account, let's say you end up with UST in your main account. We want to swap that out for USDT. To do that, you will simply, let's say you do have a UST here, you would click on transfer, and you would first want to transfer your UST, let's say, over to the trading account. Because once it's transferred over to the trading account, you can then use a spot market that Kucoin has to exchange that UST for USDT, because you do need USDT to utilize the strategy here. So then in spot trading, you would simply, swap your UST for USDT and so forth. Now make sure that you have a similar amount of UST in your Terra wallet as you do with a USDT balance to be able to utilize the strategy. Now, once you've done the switch, now you have USDT. The next thing you will want to do, you're going to have to take that USDT from your trading account and then transfer it over. So we'll go to trading account, right? So we'd have something there, which I think right now I have some USDT in my trading account. I would click on transfer once again, and this time I would transfer it over to the futures account because that is where we are going to be shorting Luna. Now this video, there's two important parts in this video. The first is when we shoot out the long order on Terra and the short order on Kucoin. We want to make sure these orders go out at the same time because we want to make sure that we're not going to end up net long or net short if we wait too long, because obviously there's price fluctuations. And we also know that the two brokerages, well, the price on Terra, whether it be on TerraSwap or on Astro, are going to differ than the price that we see on Kucoin. It's different markets. But we do want to get these orders out at the same time to try to minimize the price movement that could be occurring when these orders are being shipped out. So that's very important because the moment we get that out, the moment we are completely neutral when it comes to the price of Luna moving up or down, we can take our time as to when we want to swap our Luna on within Terra over to bLuna. There's no hurry there, okay? So the most important step right now is let's go short and let's go long. So going back to Kucoin, you have your USDT set up in your futures account. We're going to go over and we are going to look for access to their futures market here. Let's click on Futures Classic. Okay, so here we go. We got a chart of Luna coming up here. Let's go to the 1 minute chart. Okay, perfect. And so one thing to keep in mind, this is what makes it a little bit more trickier. We can only buy Luna in lots, and a lot of Luna is one Luna. As you might know, when you're buying things, typically within DeFi, in the DeFi space on DEXs, typically you put, let's say, how much you have 50 USD, and you just get filled for how much 50 USD is worth of that crypto that you're buying. But here we can't just put 100 USDT and get filled for, let's say, at the current price of like 1.6 or 1.4 Luna. We got to actually specify how much Luna. But in Astro or in TerraSwap, we can't specify how much Luna. We can just specify how much UST we're providing, right? So this is where we have to do a little bit of calculations here. Now, for this video, we are going to be using, I have 300 UST available as far as I know. Actually, it says 150 USDT. And I did run a brief test run of the shorting side of Kucoin just earlier. And I wonder if that actually moved some funds out. Because if we do look here, I did have a short that was closed. So just give me a second to figure out where the rest of my USDT went. As a matter of fact, completely confused myself. I did not have 300 USDT in my futures account. I just transferred over 150 because I wanted to actually transfer from my trading account to my futures account live for everybody else to see. So we're going to do just that real quick so you guys can see how it is done. You're going to have to click out of the futures here. If you're in the futures.kucoin.com extension, basically, you're not going to have all the different account features as you would have. So keep that in mind. If you get a little bit confused, you're like, wait a minute, where's my account balances, stuff like that. Make sure you just kind of revert back to kucoin.com instead of futures.kucoin.com. So anyhow, back to our trading account. So we're going to go to our trading account. We are going to, let's see, wait for it to load. We're going to transfer USDT. And let's transfer over 150. And there's no fee for this, by the way. You can keep doing it back and forth between your accounts. They just do this to kind of, I guess, separate things in a way. So don't worry about this. So make sure this is selected as futures account from our trading account to our futures account. We're going to add 150 because we are going to be using 300 overall. So 300 USDT and 300 UST. That's our goal here. So it should be transferred now. If I refresh, okay, actually looks like we refreshed it for me already. We have 300 USDT. Perfect. Okay. So let's do a quick little calculation here. We can see that Luna's trading at around 63 point. Okay, let's go back to the minute chart here. Okay, I actually like the fact that it's trading sideways for the time being, meaning when we get our long and our short order out, we're very likely to for the price of the short and the price of the long to be very close to each other, which is good. And because obviously if there's more volatility, there's a bigger chance that there's going to be a discrepancy between the price on Kucoin as well as the price on uh, on Terra or Astro. Because obviously, if there's a big discrepancy, there will be people that are going to try to come in and take advantage of the fact that there's a different price. They will try to buy from one end and go to the other side and sell it there, or vice versa. And if there's a big dump, then these people either are not quick enough or there's not enough um, people taking advantage of that opportunity, right? So if it's more sideways movement, likely that price will be more close to each other. Either way, let's take out 300. We're going to divide it. Let's use 64. Yeah, we'll use 64. Okay, so 4.6. Now we know we cannot buy 4.6 of Luna because, again, we can only short whole numbers. So we are going to be using 4 Luna in our example today, right? 4. So at this current price, let's say we would be looking at using about 256. Either way, at the end of all of this is going to be a two-part series, by the way, because it is going to take us 21, 24 days to realize these profits, which is when the other video will come in. And that's when likely I'm going to break down all different expenses and things like that. But we're going to be using 4 Luna for this example, which will require about $256. Now, here is what I'm going to be doing, and I recommend you guys do the same thing. We are going to click on this lightning bolt because that will submit our order as a market order, which is important for us because we want to make sure that our orders are at the same time, and we cannot submit a limit order on TerraSwap or on Astro, right? So let's click on, so this could be a market order, placing 4 Luna, no leverage, okay? No leverage, 4 Luna. Okay, so let's head over to Astroport because that is where we are going to be buying that Luna. So right now we have 2 things to set up. So let's just remind ourselves. We have 4 Luna set up here, and we have Astroport on the second window. We can also see that the current prices or so, 4 Luna is about 270, well, in this case, USDT. And the reason why that matters is because, again, on Terra side of things here, we are going to have to use the amount of UST. We can't tell them how much Luna we're buying. We can only tell them how much UST we want to use, right? Now, as you can tell, there was a pause between everything before this to now. That's why Luna is much higher. And because apparently I had an issue, I did withdraw some UST from Kucoin over to my Terra wallet, and it actually took a few hours to come through. They had a little bug. And because of that, I had to stop the recording and get back to this. And that's why we see Luna much higher than it was. Either way, we can see that we will need about 270. And we can put 270 here. And we would receive about 3.975. So it would be slightly less, right? It would be slightly less. So I wonder... Yeah, so we would need like something like 271, right? That would pretty much get us right there. We can see the price here, and I wonder if this price is actually updating to the price that we see there, because as you can see, Luna is trading higher than it is on Kucoin, right? We are 61.31 there, and here we're at 67.79. Now, granted, this could also be because they simply updated much slower on Astro, right? We're obviously getting it real time on Kucoin on their exchange, but on Astro, I mean, we still haven't really seen it kind of update. I mean, it's 0.79. I mean, maybe if we update it, yeah, it's a 0.62. Even with the update, it's obviously trading higher. And that's okay. But we hope that if it trades higher, it actually always kind of trades just a little bit higher than Kucoin, because obviously if that actually reverses when we're looking to actually exit our long and exit our short, that type of slippage can actually hurt us just slightly, but it can hurt us. So hopefully it does always trade at that small little premium, because if it does, that's okay. Now, as I'm talking, Luna does continue to drop here. Either way, we are going to put this, so we're going to put this through here, 270. It's fine if we get a little bit under, to be honest. That obviously would mean that we are slightly net short. That is something to keep in mind. So, but let's keep, okay, actually, I'm not even sure what expert mode is on Astro, but let's keep the slippage as low as possible. We have 270 and we have 4 here. So now we're going to set up the transaction. We're going to basically prep it, make sure it's ready. So let's click on swap tokens. We can see how much we are going to receive, the minimum that we would receive. Okay, and let's click on confirm swap. Okay, so my password is already in there. I'm not going to hit post just yet. I'm going to make sure that things are also set up on the Kucoin side of things, because again, we are going to be buying it directly off the market. It's a market order on both sides. So let's go over to Kucoin. We have 4 selected here. We have the lightning bolt selected. You know, at Kucoin, we do have to enter our trading password when we do submit a trade. Let's click on sell short. I'm going to click on this, giving us to confirm our order for Luna. Let's click on, we can also see our liquidation price. Now we're not using any leverage. So basically the amount of money that we're locking into this trade up creates that cushion for how much it can go against us. So let's click on sell. Okay, so we have to input the password. What I'm going to do right now, I am going to get my trading password. I'm going to enter it right here. Okay, so now let's go back. I'm going to open up my Terra wallet here. Okay, so now we have both transactions side by side. This is the best way that we can make sure that both of them go out at the same time around the same price. We're going to click on post and confirm. It's been confirmed already on Kucoin. That's great. And it's also, we've also swapped it on Astro, okay? And we're going to look at that within Terra Station to see the history of that transaction. But let's briefly kind of get an idea of how it looks like on Kucoin, because most of you might be unfamiliar with that. Let's refresh the page. Now, I also want to say that, you see, I'm not rushing to see what the spread is between Luna and bLuna right now. That's basically where we make our money, because there's no need to be. If you have your long and your short set up, you could relax. Look for an opportune moment to take advantage of the spread, because right now we have no price exposure. That is it. Because right now, you know, we can see our short position. We're short for Luna. It's worth 268 right now. We do know that we shorted 270 of it, right? We can see our entry price right here, right? Which is 67.173. We're not using any leverage for this, and we would get liquidated if Luna ends up doubling in price, right? Now, obviously, if I start seeing Luna going up crazy in price, I'm probably going to look to try to deposit more, or at least bring more USDT into my futures account to stop me from getting liquidated. So we have that information here. Let's open up Terra Station. And we can see that we swapped 270 UST for 3.33 Luna. 270 got us 3.99 Luna. At the same time, we know that we ended up taking 270 and going short for Luna. So, I mean, it's basically perfect, right? We're kind of off by 0.01, but that's perfectly fine. Now, what we can also do, we can look and see what the average price of this would be. And all of this you'd write down in an Excel. And, you know, in the second part of this video, which would be in a couple of weeks when we're actually closing up this trade and securing that profit, I'm going to show you guys how all these kind of fees rack up. I'm still going to give you an idea of what they look like. But if we take, I'll open up a calculator here. If we take, 270 and divide that by, say, 3.991, we can see that the average cost came out at 67.65, but on Kucoin, we ended up shorting it at 67.73. We can kind of, subtract that from each other. 67.173, and there's basically, there's a price difference of 479. Now, obviously, when it comes to closing this whole trade, when we close the long and the short, would there be a price discrepancy of about 48 cents? It's hard to know. Likely and obviously not. It may be slightly higher, might be slightly lower, but that can possibly affect the P&L of the trade. So keep that in mind, especially because, in this case, we are, I guess, slightly more short, just a tiny bit more. It shouldn't really matter. But let's look at the fees. So we did pay 48 cents, about 45 cents in fees on the Terra side of things, right? Let's head over back to Kucoin over here, and we are going to look for our futures trade history. I'm going to click on that. And let's see what we paid in fees here. So we paid 16.16 USDT in fees. Very little fees for getting into that short position on Kucoin, which is great. Now we're also going to end up paying a similar amount when we exit the trade. But that's very nice to see, right? Because so far we paid about 45 cents on Terra to get into the trade on the long side, and we have paid about 0.16 USDT on Kucoin. So about 60 cents in fees we've so far taken on, right? This obviously would affect our profit and loss at the end of all this, but it's nice to see that it's been relatively small. Now, the second step, the most important step here at this point, now that we're long and now that we're short, right? So keep that in mind. We're long, we're short for contracts. We're not worried about where price goes at all. We're just waiting for the opportunity for us to be able to take, now open up Anchor here, for us to be able to take our Luna and swap it for bLuna, right? That's the next step to this, and there's no rush to it. Now I have two different charts opened up. I have bLuna on TerraSwap, and I have bLuna on Astroport. Both of these DEXs still function on Terra. Sometimes you'll see a better spread for us to take on TerraSwap. Sometimes the better spread might be on Astro. When you look at this, don't just look at the chart. Look and see what the actual buy orders are going for. So we can currently see the buy orders are currently getting swapped for about 0.99. And this would be on Astro. On TerraSwap, the buy orders are swapping at 994. Much higher, right? So obviously we might want to look at Astro here as being the pick. Now, personally speaking, because I'm making this video, I'm willing to take the swap at this rate. I personally would not. I would wait to the point that you can kind of get that buy order in for 0.985. That's a number that I would be interested in getting in. 0.99 does not leave that much room for profit. You're still going to be profitable. Don't get me wrong. But if you really want to make better gains, you want to wait for at least 0.985. That's the number I'll be looking for. Now, when I actually first started recording this video, you can kind of see on Astro, the spread was down to 0.98, this is what is the 30-minute chart here. So there was plenty of opportunity to get it done here. And as I said, once you're long and once you're short those contracts, you can wait. There's no rush. But, obviously as I'm talking, I'm always trying to delay the fact and hope that the spread kind of goes down. It would go down if Luna obviously kept going down in price because people would start getting out of their positions. But anyhow, here's our next step. So I'm just going to verify exactly how much we have. 3.99. The reason I say this is because I had a little bit of Luna in my wallet, so I just want to make sure I'm swapping the right amount. We're going to kind of just forget about those numbers. That would be too little for us to worry about. And what we want to do now, we want to swap that Luna for bLuna. So back to Astroport we go. Let's select bLuna from the list here. Here we go. Let's click on this. And now we are looking to swap our Luna for bLuna. And as you can tell here, Luna is trading at a premium to bLuna, even though bLuna should be worth exactly the same as Luna. Especially since once you unbond it, it's exactly the same thing and you get Luna into your wallet. So again, that's the kind of the thing that we're taking advantage of. The difference in price between these two, we're trying to pocket this because right now we have no price risk at all with Luna, and we just want to take advantage of the fact that right now bLuna and Luna are trading at around 98 cents of a difference in price, right? If you subtract the difference between the two. So in our wallet, we're going to select 3.99. That is what we ended up going along on. And we can see already here that right now we would receive in return 4.02 bLuna. And again, that 4.02 for bLuna would turn into 4.02 for Luna after 24 days. Now, they do show us the exchange rate right now. Let's just make sure the slippage is lower. It looks like it's refreshing it over here. And we're going to look at the spread once again. So yeah, see, as I'm talking, the spread went from 990 that we saw. We kind of saw these numbers. And now it's kind of pushing up to 991. And again, that is going to affect our profits ultimately. Either way, for the sake of this video, we're still going to go through. I'm going to put it at this rate. Again, I would love for the spread to be lower as I'm making this video. Show you guys how much greater the profits could be, but you're still going to get the gist of it, and we're still going to make money. We're still going to make money after all is said and done. So anyhow, we have our the amount that we bought here, right? 3.99. Is this I actually have the exact, almost the exact amount, right? This is the exact amount here. Take this here, plug it there. Let's just do that. And we are going to have, okay, slippage as low as possible. And from Luna to bLuna, that's the idea. See the exchange rate. Let's hit on swap. Okay, we would get that much. Let's click on confirm swap. And here we go. We post the transaction. So now we are done with the second part. Transaction is pending, but I guess we'll give it just a few more seconds here. We should also see our transaction. Yep, there it goes. Yep, that's my Terra address. So yes, the transaction did go through. I see it on CoinHall, and now we do see it finally on in our Terra wallet history here, and we incurred an additional 0.20 UST in cost. Either way, let's head over to Anchor and let's finish the transactions out. So we're going to go over here, make sure that burn is selected. Let's go over here, select all of our bLuna. Select that. Oops, let's go over to Anchor, this, and we'll get that much Luna. Another transaction fee that we do have to pay. And as it says, 21 days to process. And we finally will now click on burn. We have to go through the prompt and we will click on post. And with that, just give it another second here. We're done. We're done. Now we're just simply going to have to wait. And after 21 to 24 days, the very worst, we'll be able to come here and claim it. Notice I do have a little test transaction here. It would show you which in that test transaction shows when I requested it and when it would be claimable. I would see the same thing here within a few hours. Okay, so while editing this video, I realized there was like 2 points I wanted to make that I didn't get a chance to make in this video. So if you plan to do the strategy over and over again, you actually do not have to close your long in your short position. You could actually always leave it open. And you'll simply be taking the Luna that you would receive after the burn, right? So we'll go back to our bond page claim. So once we're able to claim this Luna on January 31st, we can take, so we know that we're currently short for Luna on Kucoin, right? If we go here, we're short for Luna on Kucoin. We don't have to close either transaction. We can basically go in, claim that this amount of Luna, and once again swap for Luna for more bLuna and repeat it all over again. And in doing so, what ends up happening actually, well, for starters, we incur less trading costs because we do not have to do anything. We do not have to close our short position, so there's no trading fees there. We do not have to close our long position, so there's no trading fees there. We don't have to re-enter into this whole new trade, so we skip all those trading fees because in this strategy that we're doing, the biggest trading fee that we actually take is when we swap our UST for Luna, because this actually is a 0.3% fee that Astro charges. So that's the biggest fee. And keep in mind, when we did these swaps, these swap fees actually were taken out already during the transaction. So the only fees that haven't been calculated yet in the extra Luna that we've gained would be these fees that that Terra themselves charges. So we would be able to basically go around the whole fact that we're not going to be incurring this large fee. We will end up having to incur this fee, um, the swap fee on Astro and on Terra for swapping our Luna to bLuna. But luckily, this fee's on the smaller end of things. It's a 0.1% fee, so it's a third of the fee that we would pay on this end. So so basically the first time you do it, it will be the less lucrative way because you will have higher fees. But moving forward, as you keep repeating it, and you do not have to touch your long position or your short position unless you want to maybe increase the whole size of the whole strategy or you want to reduce it. If you're not doing any of those type of things, you're going to have less fees, which will increase your profitability. A second point I want to talk about quickly, which I didn't in the video, is the fund rate, which is basically a fee that is charged every 8 hours on Kucoin. You can see a timer here. This fee is basically charged when the futures price of Luna differs from the spot price on Luna. So if we kind of bring this up side by side, and if I get rid of Astro and of Terra here, and you kind of look at the numbers here, you can see that the future side right now is at 71.45, and then you have the spot price at 71.39. So you see there's a difference there, right? Well, depending on what direction that difference is, would determine who has to pay that funding rate. This funding rate is paid to the other party. Now, if you are short on Kucoin and the fund rate is negative, that is the percentage of your position size you would be paying to the longs, and vice versa. If that funding rate is positive, you would be paying that to the shorts if you were long on Luna. But here's the thing. If we go to the history for Luna here, and this is usually the case in most places. Now, funny thing is, since I opened up the position, the funding rate has been negative for the most part. I think it was positive for 2 cycles, but it's been predominantly negative. But if you go historically, you will see in most cases that funding rate is actually a positive figure. Now, yes, this funding rate can definitely change the profitability of the strategy. But looking back historically, if anything, it should actually amplify your gains because now you have that short position on Luna that is actually making profits from the actual funding rate that's being charged on Kucoin. So that's something to keep in mind. And we'll dive deeper into this in part 2. So that's all I wanted to say here. But there you go. So again, we're not going to make a whole deal of profit when it comes to this sample that we're using for this video. But I just want to give you an idea of what you can possibly be doing on your own, because if you utilize the opportunity to be able to short that asset on Kucoin, you might find other assets, not just on Terra, but on other blockchains that kind of, if you go through an unbonding period and you can take advantage of that spread, you could profit the spread by going short on Kucoin. Obviously, you always want to kind of go short on Kucoin because usually the dexes and don't really give you that opportunity to go long, to go short, I mean. So you always kind of go short on Kucoin. But this should kind of open up your mind to other strategies. Even if in this example, obviously we're not going to come out too far ahead here, right? If we're looking to pocket $2.08 and we have a few flat fees here that can eat at it, the profits are not going to be great. I can easily tell that. And we also did it when the spread is tight. We had a much better opportunity a few hours ago. But either way, this kind of gives you an idea of how you can actually earn a yield without having to rely on different DeFi strategies or of opening up liquidity pools and stuff like that. I know Anchor pays a great yield of 19.5% right now, but we know with time Anchor's yield will go down. So in general, this is still a way for you to go out there and get your own yield whenever you want to. Now, in the second part of the video, which will take place between 21 to 24 days from now, we are going to go in. We are going to claim the Luna that we now have, and we are going to get rid of our Luna and the extra Luna that we received. Well, it could be one Luna batch though, and also close our short position. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that to make sure, and then we're gonna calculate our full profits there. Again, it's not gonna be much because those flat fees will likely eat away because the trade itself is pretty small, but we're still gonna do it. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you could also give it some love, give it a like. Subscribe if you want to see the second part to this, kind of see how we close things out. I did just hit 1,000 subscribers, so I just want to thank all of you for coming back and watching, subscribing, and commenting. I love all of you guys, so thank you so much for the support. That being said, I'll see you next time.